Hi, and welcome to our Retired Nomad Adventures.
I'm Retired Rick.
And I'm Daphne, and we are a couple who sold everything to travel the world 1 month at a time with just a carry-on suitcase and a backpack, and we're doing it all for $5,000 a month. Well, that's our budget, and today is our budget video. And our budget video for the time that we spent in Kamala Beach, Phuket, in Thailand. And for Kamala Beach, we had a total of 22 days there. So we're here in Thailand for 60 days, and we spent 22 days in Chiang Mai. We're spending 22 days in Kamala Beach, and then we're finishing our time in Bangkok before heading over to Cambodia. So this is the first time we've spent less than our typical month.
And because of that, our budget is $5,000 a month. So if you do 5,000 divided by 30, you come up with $166.66 you can spend a day. You times that by 22, and then you come up with $3,667. So that is our budget for Phuket.
So for our time in Phuket, yes, so that was our budget, $3,667, but that's still our $5,000 a month budget.
Right.
All right, so I'm a little nervous about today's budget, so we're just going to get right into the numbers. We know what the numbers are, and So let's start with, we always start with travel because we like to share with you, it's not necessarily our biggest expense, but it's our first expense getting from one location to the next. So we started in Chiang Mai, and we took a flight on Vietjet Airlines,
yes.
From Chiang Mai to
Phuket.
We flew into Phuket Airport, and how much was our...
Our flight was $131. Also with our travel, that includes a couple of grabs from Phuket Airport to the hotel, which is about $24 each way.
Yeah.
And then we went back, had to go back to the airport once we left.
And that was the only time we were in a vehicle the entire time we were at the beach. We that was probably the only time we were in shoes and clothes. We were in bathing suits and bare feet pretty much the whole time. So the flight, though, from when we landed in Phuket Airport, super easy, like no problems at all. There was the ATM machine that Rick always recommends was right there in the airport. You could easily stock up on whatever money you needed, and then you walk straight out and to the right, and there was a grab station.
Grab station right there. You ordered your grab, and grab showed up within 5 minutes.
Yeah.
So very easy.
Yeah. And then the only thing I would say transportation wise is that there is a lot of traffic in the main town of Phuket. And so as you're going to any of the different beaches, just be prepared and pad and give yourself some extra time.
Yeah, it was about it's about 15 miles to our hotel, but it took about an hour. So
yeah,
you have
because of the traffic.
Yeah, the traffic, but just sit back and relax and
Take it all in.
Take it all in because you're going to enjoy it.
Yeah. So total there was basically $179 with the two grabs and then the flight.
Yeah.
Okay. Then our most expensive expense is always our housing. And so for 22 nights, we stayed at a beautiful hotel right on the beach. The location couldn't be, and it was smack in the middle of the beach, which was so nice because you could then access anything very easily.
Right. And
when I say right on the beach, I mean right on the beach.
And you walk from the complex to the sand.
So the total cost for that was $1,992 for our 22 nights. And so we talked about this and we said you definitely could get something less expensive if you weren't right on the front of the beach. So if you went a couple of streets back, you could totally get something for much, much cheaper. And really didn't seem like there was a bad location that you could have. No. There were great locations, but there didn't seem like there were bad locations. And then up and down the boardwalk, there were plenty of more expensive places you could have chose. But with our budget, we couldn't have chose those more expensive places, but we also didn't feel like we needed to. I feel like our place...
as we were there, we felt like our place was a place that people would look at and say, oh, I wish I was there.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's how we felt.
So we are happy with the expense, and we know that may be a little high. So it was about $100 a night. That doesn't seem bad at all. Okay, now dining out. You said we dined out a total of 62 times.
And then when we say dining out, that includes like getting coffee, getting smoothies, getting lunch, breakfast, dinner. Anytime we go out, we get something extra. So we might get like a smoothie for $1 or $2. That counts as dining out too. But we dined out a total of 62 times in 22 days.
And every day we ate out for lunch and we ate out for dinner. Sometimes, and you always got a coffee every morning, and then we got smoothies often. So just know that we were eating out a lot.
So the total for our dining out was $672. So,
I mean,
that's not bad. That's not bad.
Well, and I should say we had some meals that we dined out, we'll talk about in a little bit, that we actually didn't pay for, and so those aren't even included in the total number
Yes.
or the total expenses. So, okay, $672 for 62 times that we paid for eating out. And our most expensive meal was at the Smile Bar, right?
Yeah, and that included 2 drinks and an appetizer on the beach, and that was about $28.
And we were in beanbag chairs watching the sunset, and it really doesn't necessarily classify as a meal because it was just an appetizer, and we went for dinner after.
Right.
but that was the most expensive and totally worth it.
Right.
And then our cheapest meal was at the Pond restaurant, right? So we ate it.
Yeah.
And that's a beach. All of these restaurants are just
right
line
on
the
the
beach.
yeah.
So you have a view of the ocean and or the sunset, just depending on the time, no matter where you're at. So we ate at the Pond restaurant, and that cheapest meal was $12.
And that did not include drinks. So
Right.
anytime we have a meal that would include drinks, it's anywhere from $15 to $20.
Yeah, so that was pretty typical. So
Yeah.
you would have a beer, and your size of your beer, they would just call it a large, but it was a pint. And then if I had a glass of wine, then that would up our prices to closer to $20. And if we didn't have that, then we were down closer to $15.
Now, what we were doing is, since everything was so cheap, we ended up finding a restaurant that was very nice and a little more expensive, but not bad. And we were eating there quite a bit. The food is just fantastic. So we ended up spending about $22 to $25 each time we went there. We went there about 5 times in a row.
Yeah, because we found it at the end, and so so we went a lot at the end.
Really good. And for me, my best meal, my favorite meal was a seafood spaghetti with garlic bread, and that was at this coconut garden.
Coconut garden, yeah.
That we found later on, and it's really good.
Yeah, and my favorite meal was it was for your birthday. We were sent on a total food extravaganza for the day, and so we were eating at the Intercontinental, and they had a yellow curry there that was absolutely delicious. I am new to curries, and so I've been trying them all out. I feel like I understand the difference between the different curries now, but that yellow curry was my absolute favorite meal. I thought about that for days after. Okay, so that's our dining out. So our next expense category that we always go over is our groceries.
Our groceries were $90.
And
so that just included 12 trips to the grocery store, and what we on this stay, what we would buy at the grocery store was Diet Coke, beer, bread,
eggs.
Wine, eggs. So,
all the essentials.
Yeah. So not much, just breakfast stuff and stuff to drink in the room. So
yeah. A typical bottle of wine would be about $20. You would buy a 3-pack of beer, and that was...
It was like $6.
Yeah. Also, I should say that the grocery stores that were available where we were at, there were several to choose from. So 7-Eleven, easy and convenient, and we went there several times. Big C was the grocery store we shopped at the most often. There was another sort of specialty market called Villa Market.
Right. We went in there a couple times for
sunscreen. Yeah. That had... a little more specialty items. And then on the last couple of days, we found a place called Tops. So I would say if you are in Thailand, and especially if you're in the Phuket area, that's where we saw it.
Right.
Tops has all of those things that you might be missing from home. So it had all the very specialty items, like we saw at Amy's frozen Mexican casserole dish. And so I thought, how random, how interesting. But there were all kinds of things like that if you're missing some things from home, Tops would be a good grocery store.
And Tops is right across the street from Big C and also Villa Market.
Yeah,
so they're all right there.
We just didn't even realize it was a grocery store.
Right.
I think I thought it was a wine store, which is why we ultimately went in just to see if they had any different varieties of wine. And when we walked in, we were so surprised and impressed. It was definitely slightly more expensive, but not much more expensive. It would have been told we would have gone there more often had we found it earlier.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so Tops is a recommendation. The next expense we had is entertainment.
With entertainment, we spent $129.
On one thing only. So what?
on pretty much one thing. We did a couple things, but we didn't have to pay for them. But entertainment was 13 one-hour massages for $129.
Can you 13 one-hour massages? Well, actually, one of those massages was a 90-minute massage. So 13 for $129. When we were doing entertainment, we had the total, and so I was like, yeah, that seems okay. That's fine for the total. But then when I realized it was all massages and there was 13 of them for that price, that is crazy.
And we didn't do a lot. We mainly ate, walked on the beach, went
we could
in
take
the
them
water.
We could take them through a typical day. So
Yeah.
a typical day would be Rick making breakfast, us going down in our bathing suit, bare feet, and we'd walk the length of the beach every morning. We'd come back up. From our tiki bar at our hotel, we'd get a coffee and a smoothie or a coffee and a Coke Zero, and then we'd lay out at the water. Then that would be when we'd decide if we were going to get a massage or a manicure or something.
Right.
And then lunch, then nap, then dinner, then walks, then drinks. Like that's the typical day. So that was our entertainment. Yeah.
And then we had a couple of days where we went on an excursion, but we didn't have to pay for the excursion. Our son got that as a Christmas gift for me.
A Christmas
gift. A birthday gift for me.
Yeah.
And it was a sunset tour of 5 islands, and we got to kayak, so it was really great. And it was
fantastic. So we did do that excursion that we didn't pay for. So 5 islands, sunset. We went to James Bond Island. They fed us. We were gone for like 10 hours, so that took care of a whole day. And then our daughters got they basically sent us on a food tour. So they looked up and researched all the restaurants that they thought we should go to. So they picked a place for breakfast, for lunch, for dinner. That's when we went to the Intercontinental. So we also didn't pay for any meals that day. They sent us more money than we needed. So it was like a day and a half worth of food. So
that was an excursion that we considered an excursion, but we didn't have to pay. So we did do other things.
Yeah, kind of, yes. But so those were costs that aren't included here because we didn't pay for those.
Right.
Okay, so then the next thing that we had was...
We have personal care. So we had $103 of personal care. Mm-hmm. Personal care included, you had I
had a manicure and pedicure.
A manicure. I had a pedicure. I had 2 haircuts.
Yep.
And then the rest of the...
like toner, lotion, shampoo, conditioner, deodorant, those kinds of things. My manicure and pedicure was $33 with the tip. Your pedicure was just over $7 with the tip. And then you got your 2 haircuts, and those were $10 each with a tip. So that was great.
Yeah.
Okay, and then now we're down to miscellaneous. So $25 for miscellaneous.
Miscellaneous, $25. We had 2 laundry services where we gathered up our clothes, we dropped it off, and the next day they were nice, folded, clean, smelled good. It was really nice. So 2 laundry services, bathroom usage. It was 30 baht to use the bathroom, and then also bug spray and sunscreen.
Yeah. So and all of that came to $25 total. All right. So now we're to some of our recurring costs. So we always have our cell phone bill.
So our cell phone bill was $105. And if you notice, we're $5.07 over on our cell phone bill this month. We didn't realize that until we got the bill. And what had happened early on in our stay, we accepted a call from a family member who called regular instead of on WhatsApp, and we didn't realize it. So we ended up speaking for 19 minutes, and for that 19 minutes, it was $4.75. So we weren't mad at that at all, and it's great because we always talk about our phone service, which is T-Mobile, and with T-Mobile they charge 25 minutes, 25 cents a minute for international calls and stuff.
So it's because talking for 20 minutes, that could happen. You could have an emergency and you have to call somebody, and realizing that if you have to talk to somebody, and we talked for basically 20 minutes, and it was basically $5. So that's not the end of the world. So if you're in an emergency situation and you got to make that call on a regular line,
we're not worried about it.
Yeah, you can do it. So it was great to see that. We couldn't figure out why we had the extra charge. When we looked it up, we thought, okay, that's good. That's really good to know. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so I wasn't mad about that at all.
No. All right. And so that's $105 for our cell phone bill, and then the rest of our recurring costs
is $393.
Yep. And that's for all of our subscriptions like Netflix and that kind of thing. It's for some life insurance policies, and then also car insurance.
Car insurance, and then credit card
subscription
fees and stuff.
Okay. So that's awesome. So all right. So, I guess last thing I should say is that we never include our medical costs in here. So we pay our medical insurance in June, and we pay that for the year. We have a separate account for that, so we don't include that in our expenses, and everybody's medical is going to be wildly different. We chose to go with Cigna Global, and we did the silver plan, all the bells and whistles. We added all kinds of things in because it's the first time we haven't had what we would consider traditional, typical American insurance. Like we've always had Kaiser, so we have...
And with that, we have high deductible.
Yeah,
so.
it's really just for emergency cares. Yes, and so that total for the year is $6,500. Okay, so my heart's racing a little bit because remember our budget for this time is $3,667, and our total that we spend for this month, 22 days,
22 days, our total was $3,741.83.
We were over budget. Now you know, for the first time ever, we were over budget. And you know, if you've watched us at all, that Rick is diligent with that travel spend app. So Rick tracks our spending every single day. So we were on track the entire time. So every day Rick will tell us how much we can spend today to stay under budget, because travel spend will recalculate that based on what he's input from the day before, and he inputs everything. That how much was it? That 5 baht bathroom thing. Like he put that, like everything goes into travel spend. So we had been trucking along and totally on track. But
and
then,
it wasn't until about 4 days before we had left that I realized we have our recurring costs and our phone bill, and I have to put that somewhere. So originally I had put it at our next location, but we're only there for 12 days. So it didn't seem right to put it in a 12-day location versus a 22-day location, even though it's just the way it came out. It was just kind of different. So we just bit the bullet and just put it in with us knowing that we were going to be over budget. And even with that, we were $75.31 over budget.
Yeah. So in our next location, which is Bangkok, we won't have those recurring costs there.
Right.
You put them. So we need to put them somewhere. And typically it's very easy because we're places for a month at a time. So it's just, it goes in that month's expenses. But now when we've split our time a little bit. Yeah. So,
but if you remember, in Chiang Mai, we were $153 below budget. So, and then I said, don't worry, it all works out. Well, I'm going to say again, don't worry, it all works out.
Well, it does, because we've set ourselves a $5,000 a month budget, and that really is to average out over the year, because we hope, because we have planned. So this 6 months we're in Southeast Asia, which is a lower cost place to be, and then the last 6 months of the year will be in Italy and Turkey, and we're imagining that our costs will be higher there. So we were hoping to come in under budget here, which we haven't really done, but we were hoping to come in under budget here in Asia so that we can give ourselves a cushion for that last 6 months of the year. So in our mind, we really do think of this in terms of how it all averages out, but we have not been over budget ever. So it did feel a little like, "Arr."
And with that said, we've had several people that help to help us stay under budget, and we're still over budget, so we feel bad about that. But we'd like to thank Paul O.
Paul bought us a coffee.
To help us stay under budget.
So thank you, Paul.
Thank you very much, Paul.
And then
also,
Dave and Nikki.
It was awesome meeting them. They reached out to us.
Yeah, and asked us if we'd like to go out for a meal, and they treated us to. It was Nikki's birthday the day after we had dinner, and Rick's birthday the day before, and they treated us to a birthday meal. So that was fantastic, and even better was the relationship and friendship we developed through our conversation. So that was wonderful.
Dave even said, "I hope this keeps you under budget."
Sorry, Dave. And then our kids, of course. So. Blake sent us on that great excursion, and then Taylor and Kristen did us on a food tour, and so we so appreciate that. We're still over, but next month it'll all work out. It will all work out. So we hope this was helpful. If you're thinking about going to Phuket, you can kind of see what the prices look like there, and we highly recommend Kamala Beach as a destination to go. We loved it there, and we thoroughly enjoyed ourselves. And we hope that you'll join us next week when we take you. You can see we have a different background today when we give you our first impressions of Bangkok, Thailand. All right. So until then,
bye.